How dangerous is it out on the water? Well, it's really dangerous. It's really dangerous. And there's a couple things that you need to make sure that you have anytime that you have that big engine running. Anytime that big Mercury motor's running. Two things, very, very important. I bet you know the answer to both of them. Wow! That's a beauty. Good morning, guys and girls. August 24. Jonah, the book of Jonah. We all love Jonah because we know what Jonah's about, don't we? Jonah 2:2. Deuces Wild 2:2. When I was in danger, I called to the Lord and He answered me. When I was in danger, I called to the Lord and He answered me. I can think of countless times when that was happened right there. When I was in danger, I called to the Lord. Every single solitary time I've been in danger, I've called to the Lord. And He's answered me every single solitary time. Everyone loves the story about Jonah, the big fish. As kids, we sang songs about Jonah. Wondered what it'd be like to be fish bait, which is what Jonah was. But what about Jonah? He wasn't too thrilled. In fact, he was downright mad at God about the whole situation. He didn't want to go to Nineveh. It was an evil city. He's afraid if he went there, they might repent and be saved. He didn't want to preach. He had a chance to go hold the biggest revival in the history of the world. He didn't want to do it. And he certainly didn't want the people to repent and be saved. They were evil. They were terrible. They deserved to go to hell. And that's exactly what Jonah wanted to do. He certainly didn't want to become a big topwater bait. I guess he might have been a slowly sinking bait. I don't know. Maybe like a mimic imitator, just slowly sinks down and wiggles occasionally. I'm sure he was wiggling a lot. We all get out of the will of God sometimes. We all disobey God. Every single solitary one of us. We wouldn't need to be saved in the first place. When we do disobey God, when we get out of the will of God, trouble and problems are sure to follow. They may not follow, or they probably will follow. They are sure to follow. When we get out of the will of God, when we disobey God, we're going to have trouble. Take that one to the bank. When this happens, we've got two choices. We can get mad at God, like Jonah, or we can call on our God for help. When we have an illness in the family, when we have a death, when we hear that we've got cancer, or a family member or a close friend has got cancer, when we get fired, when we lose our job, when we have a relationship gone bad and the person that we thought was perfect for us now is imperfect for us, when we have problems within our family, our kids go astray. We can get mad at God when this happens. We can blame God, or we can call on God for help. Can I tell you? I always call on God for help. Sooner or later, the second choice, calling on God for help, will become our only option. Sooner or later, that's our only option, will be to call on God. If we are disobeying God, if we're out of the will of God, trouble's going to happen. Trouble's going to follow. Trouble's going to mount up. And sooner or later, we're going to have to call on God. Better to make it sooner rather than later. Better to make it sooner. Here's our tip for this week, and it's really a serious one because, it is. Always wear a life jacket when the big engine is running. And I'm going to add another bit to that also. You know, I said 2 earlier. Have a kill switch on your boat. Have that kill switch hooked up. I lost a very good friend of mine just a few weeks ago on Lake Texoma down here about 30 or 40 miles away. He's from Tulsa. Great friend, great person, great individual, great taxidermist, a great person. They had a steering cable break on their boat. I don't know what kind of boat it was, don't know what kind of motor it was. I don't even know if it was a runabout or a fishing boat. But the cable broke, the steering broke on it, and it threw all 3 of them out of the boat. They didn't have a kill switch. I don't know if they had life jackets or not. Doesn't really matter if you don't have a kill switch on there. If an engine keeps running, the boat come around and ran over them. And it killed 2 of the 3 of them. With the kill switch, they'd have simply gone swimming. That's all they'd have done. So make sure Anytime your big engine's running. And I've fished a few times here in the last 2 or 3 weeks. I've, of course, taken care of Chris, and I'm not getting very much time to fish right now. But I tell you, that situation that happened there on Texoma, the first thing I think of when I hit that button to start that Mercury engine right now is that kill switch. And you can flip your button up on a kill switch. Many fishermen do. Many bass fishermen do. Many tournament fishermen do. Now in a tournament, if you do that, you're breaking a rule. You can't do that. You'll get disqualified. But when you're just out there fishing, you're just going to get your boat up on a plane and run across the lake a mile. Many times you flip that button up where your motor will run because it thinks it's got a kill switch hooked up to it, and it doesn't. And if something happens, something breaks, or something happens and you get thrown out of that boat's going to come back around and run over you. And when it does, that big giant prop on there that makes that thing run 70 miles an hour, it's going to chop you up. It's terrible. It's a terrible, terrible situation. So if you don't have a kill switch on your boat, I don't care what kind of boat you got, you don't even have to be a bass boat. If it's a pontoon boat, if you don't have a kill switch on your boat, have one installed there. Have one installed on it. And if you do, use it every single time you crank that big engine up and put that baby in gear. Every single time. Because you never know when something might happen. The new Mercury motors that we have nowadays, nothing will happen if that kill switch is down in the down position. So you've taken your kill switch off and it's flipped down, nothing will happen. It won't start. It won't start. But, so you have to hook that kill switch up. Now, you can just flip the switch up. Flip the toggle switch up and it'll run. But it won't save your life if something breaks and you get thrown out of the boat. So it's a very, very, very important tip this week, because I'm telling you, I've seen a lot of big-time professional fishermen violate that rule. I've violated it a little bit myself, not in tournaments, but out there just running from, just around the corner, or just firing the engine up and going a quarter mile down the lake. Don't ever violate that rule. Don't ever violate that. Make sure that every time your big engine's running, you got a life jacket on, and you got that kill switch hooked up. Because